Everybody staying warm? Got to be careful that you keep warm. You know, when I write talks, I look around and see what's happening today in history and stuff like that. And I noticed something very interesting that this week coming, I think it's Wednesday actually, in 1799, so we go back a little bit, the Rosetta Stone was discovered, or rediscovered. Some places I was looking around says rediscovered, but then I thought, well, they didn't discover it before, so it was discovered. So I want to talk a little bit about the Rosetta Stone and language and translation and how that fits into our experiences. So first, look at that. That's cool. So I brought a few slides. So you won't put the first slide. There it is. There's the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone right now lives in the British Museum, and I was fortunate enough to see it about 5 years ago. And you know, it's in a big glass case, which is not what that is, but now it's in a big plexiglass, whatever, case, and you walk by and go, oh, look, there's a big gray stuff. I wonder what that is. And then when you realize what that is and you stand before it, it really has an interesting energy coming out of it, this Rosetta Stone. It's a very important thing. Now, it was discovered, it was found by a French captain named Pierre Bouchard during the Napoleonic Wars. And what was happening is he was supervising the restoration of an old fort near the town of Rosetta. And he found this block of basalt, and it's about 4 feet high and 2.5 feet wide. Okay, so the text now was a decree listing the benefits bestowed on Egypt by King Ptolemy V. It was basically propaganda, saying, look how great of a king I am, this is what I gave you. But the text is really not that important. What's important is, you can see it's in 3 sections. What's important is that all the people could read and understand it because it was written in 2 languages, Greek and Egyptian, and 3 writing systems: hieroglyphic, demotic, not demonic, but demotic, which is kind of the colloquial text that people wrote, and of course the Greek alphabet. Now, many of you probably have learned this was a very vital discovery, this thing. Since we never lost our understanding of ancient Greek, the Greek inscriptions provided the key to decode the Egyptian equivalents. Okay, so it had its own translation going on in there. The last sentence in the Greek actually said, written in sacred and native and Greek characters. So one writing was Greek, the next was called sacred. So they knew when they were talking about the sacred that was the hieroglyphics. And then they said the native, and the native, of course, was that demonic script of the Egyptian people at that time. Now, deciphering the stone was largely done by 2 people, Thomas Young of England and Jean-Francois Champion of France. Love that. Next slide. And click. There we go. That fine gentleman is Thomas Young. He was a physician, a physicist, an all-around genius. First to give the word energy. This is great. He's the first guy to give the word energy its scientific meaning, which then, of course, became a metaphysical meaning as well. And he's remembered for his study of light. Now, Egyptology was one of his hobbies, and he began studying the texts of the Rosetta Stone in 1814, so 15 years later. And he correctly identified the cartouche. Next slide is the cartouche. So you see, it says way up there, Ptolemy cartouche, and then here's a picture of it near the bottom. That was the cartouche that described the name of Ptolemy, the king. So the oval loop there, with all that hieroglyphics in there, was the name of King Ptolemy. So all he had to do was find that corresponding in the Greek to figure out the translation, and gave him the key to the hieroglyphics of P, T, M, Y, and S. And he did that just by examining that. And then he realized from the way it's written that the direction of the hieroglyphics, which way to go. So that was Thomas Young. Next guy, next slide. This is Jean-Francois. As you can see, he's very Napoleonic. Got his hand in there like Napoleon. He was the founder of scientific Egyptology. He was an historian and a brilliant linguist. And this guy, this is another smart guy. At 16, he mastered Latin and Greek, which is not necessarily unusual back then, but he also knew 6 ancient Oriental languages, including Coptic. Now, Coptic is a later form of the Egyptian language, and that was written phonetically in Greek, so him knowing Coptic was very important. In 1821, he started off from where Young left off, and he established the entire list of Egyptian symbols with Greek equivalents, and he realized that the symbols were not only alphabetic, but syllabic, and in some cases determinative, which means it depicted the meaning of the word. Let me show you the next slide.
No.
Oop,
no, that was so scary.
There we go. So there's the next slide. So you see the cartouche, he figured out that that square was a P and T, and then he did the same for Cleopatra, although we don't usually spell her name with a K, but you know, that's kind of cool. There's a big obelisk in Egypt that he also used to help him translate these words. So now we knew every time there was a bird up on the wall somewhere that that was an A in English. Isn't that cool? So they together, well, together separately, cracked the hieroglyphic code, enabling us to know the lives of the pharaohs and what was going on in Egypt with ordinary people as well. That, you know, they all wrote on papyrus and the walls, and et cetera, et cetera. And all that stuff, if you've gone to Egypt, unfortunately I haven't gone to Egypt yet, all that stuff's still there. It's survived thousands and thousands of years. So to me, the Rosetta Stone was kind of the first search engine because it was a code of language. All that is a code to our language, translating to, for us, for those who speak English and speak other languages other than Greek or Egyptian, to know what was happening in history. Now I have a question for you. How many of you have ever done a Google search on yourself? Give the next slide. This is, oh no, go back one. Did I lose it? Yeah. It's okay. Go back one, anyway. All right, somehow it doesn't want to look at it. This was a PDF. I had up there the first page of my Google search of my name. And it had things like my Facebook page, I'm on IMDb because I've done some television and movie stuff, and it's interesting in Google as you go from page to page to page, eventually your name, you know, part of your name or some of your name is there, and after about maybe 10, 12 pages, it has nothing to do with you anymore, but it's a search that has something to do with a J or a Will or a Willick or whatever. So Google, to me, is sort of like the law, or any search engine. It's just Google's the most famous search engine. Bing is sort of like the law. Google is without judgment, And it uses an algorithm, it uses math to determine what's going to show up on your screen, right? So it takes the text you write, the words you write, or the question you write, and it looks around the World Wide Web, and through the algorithm makes certain things show up on your screen. Well, the law of cause and effect is like Google. Without judgment, it uses the algorithm of your mind to determine what will show up in your life. So we all have an internal search engine. Now I want to tell you what Larry Page, who's the guy who invented Google and runs Google, what he said. We stand alone in our focus on developing the perfect search engine that understands exactly what you mean and gives you back exactly what you want. PageRank, which they named after him, relies on the uniquely democratic nature of the web by using its vast link structure as an indicator of an individual page's value. In essence, Google interprets a link from page A to page B as a vote by page A for page B. But Google looks at more than the sheer volume of votes or links of a page, more that the page receives, excuse me. It also analyzes the page that casts the vote. Votes cast by pages that are themselves important weigh more heavily and help to make other pages important. Does that sound familiar? If you change the word pages to ideas or thoughts and feelings, you start saying, whoa, wait a minute. That's what the law's doing with each and every one of us. So I want to give you a quick definition of the law. This is the official definition from the Science of Mind glossary by Ernest Holmes, and he said, there is only one law, mind in action. Whatever we think, believe, feel, visualize, vision, image, read, talk about, in fact, all processes which affect or impress us all are going into the subjective state of our thought, which is our individualized use of the universal law of mind. The law is a blind force, and whatever goes into the subjective state of our thought tends to return again as some condition. That's Google. That's what Google does. Google does the same thing as the law of cause and effect. Now Google, like I was describing, it counts clicks that your mouse makes to certain links or certain sites or certain URLs, depending on what terms you understand or like. The law counts our mental clicks to the ideas, feelings, and beliefs that we are walking around with. Do you get the similarity? Google uses over 100 factors to determine your results. Now Google, many people don't know, unless you're into search engine optimization, Google every once in a while will change its algorithm. Usually every quarter, every 3 months, something like that. Because I've done some search engine optimization, and it's very interesting to see when you keep clicking on a site that how over a few weeks it'll start rising up, and maybe stuff that you don't like that was on your first page starts going down. It's the same way with the law. So, the law is just like Google. Now, the law uses an algorithm of the mind, and that was that next, there it is. That is the algorithm that I have constructed to tell you how to use the law. Now, you may not, for those in math, excuse me, those aren't real symbols, but now I can explain to you exactly what this means. Let me do it real quickly, because some of you are going to go, why didn't you say it? Because there's a simpler way to do this. If you've had, E equals MC squared is just the essence of the calculation that Einstein said. So here we go, you ready? EX, experience, equals T, thoughts, plus F, feelings, divided by CB, core beliefs. Now, core beliefs are, what's in the brackets, the unconscious mind that is going on subconsciously, the thoughts and ideas that have turned into beliefs already, that are floating around that you're not always conscious of, plus RC, which is race consciousness, and those are those accepted thoughts that we have that are brought about from how we were brought up, the form of religion we were in, what our parents, bombed into our brain, the news that we tend to accept without question, or things you heard at the cooler, the water cooler that you're buying into. Gossip sometimes is a horrible RC, race consciousness. So, again, thought plus feeling divided by core beliefs multiplied, that's the little star there, multiplied by CUL, which is the conscious use of the law. The conscious use of the law is your word, is what you do when you're praying, when you're doing spiritual mind treatment, when you are purposely putting thoughts and feelings into your belief system. That is the conscious use of the law. And in our philosophy, we are taught that the conscious use of the law is the strongest use of the law. It will override and can overwhelm all this stuff in the core beliefs and change those core beliefs, heal those core beliefs. So we are multiplying that by the conscious use of the law, and the conscious use of the law is recognition, that's what the R is, plus a unification with that power. Now in these brackets on the end, I'm breaking down spiritual mind treatment for those who might recognize that from classes, or if you're a practitioner, you better recognize that, although you may not understand the terms I'm using. So R is recognition, U is unification, which is the first two the sections of a spiritual mind treatment, times the DR, which is declaration revealing that which you have decided you want to reveal in your life or declare in your life, whatever that is, the car, the peace of mind, the new relationship, the better job, more money, vibrant health, etc., etc. Multiplied to the power of gratitude. We all know what gratitude is, not thank you God for bringing this to me, but thank you for the present I already know that's showing up. Plus the R, which is release, RS is release, and that is our knowing that our word goes into the law of cause and effect. So that's my explanation of how the law works in an algorithm. We manifest experience by impressing consistent thoughts and feelings, which becomes beliefs, into a universal Google that we call the law of cause and effect, or the law of attraction, or the law of correspondence, or there's all kinds of names for that law. If you don't like what comes up on the screen or in your life, you can change it. You can change it on Google with using search engine optimization tools. The simplest and least powerful is that clicking. Some people will click on their website so that it comes up. Not super effective, but it does work. In life, you do this, or as Ernest Holmes describes it in this thing called you. What thought has done, thought can undo. The mental patterns laid down in your subconscious throughout the ages can be consciously removed. Let me repeat that. The mental patterns laid down in your subconscious, that CB, throughout the ages can be consciously removed by spiritual mind treatment, which is CUM. To change the Google ranking of your mind, you raise the beliefs you want that serve you. You lower and dismantle the ones that don't. You do that with spiritual mind practice, both of those things. You check in. You allow yourself to be mindful and aware of what you're thinking and what your actions are and what's showing up in your life. You decide what you want to change or what you want to uplift. Maybe some nice things are happening in your life and you just want to keep them going. Then you use that. In The Power of Decision, another fabulous book by Raymond Charles Barker, as long as you are thinking and feeling what you do not want, this is important, your mind will continue to create your private, self-accepted hell on earth. So I'm not talking about being you want to be conscious of what you don't want, but you don't work on it that way. You know what I mean? You work on what you want. Okay, I don't want this in my life. I want vibrant health. I want to be running around like I'm 25. So we don't talk about, okay, I'm 50 or whatever, and la la la, I'm slowing down, and I don't want to slow down. No, I have vibrant life, because why do I have vibrant life and health in my existence? Because I know that the power of God is within, right here and now, and that the power of the sun illuminates every cell in my body. And in that every cell of my body that is lightened up with the power of the sun, with that big bang that started the whole thing, I know that I have no choice but to move forward with vibrant health. In gratitude. Releasing this word. Boom. And then you just sit back and know that the law's going to show up with that. Oh, you may have to take your own personal action, but you'll get little reminders. You know what? I need to start taking whatever, some vitamins. I need to be more consistent with my medication. I need to get out there and walk or exercise or something. I need to XYZ, and that's just with health. You can do that with anything. So, for search engine optimization, for Google, you usually will reset your cookies and cache. Have you ever heard that when you're like, why can't I get that? And they tell you, clean your history and clean your cookies. That's a way to do it with Google. It'll help you see the search engine fresh. In your mind, you feed it with positives, you meditate, you nourish your mind and body with positive and fun things, whether it's music or going places or getting on that Ferris wheel or something like that. You stay away from the negative influences. You don't listen to the nightly news is a big one. That is something to stop. It gets in your way. It keeps you, it's like cookies on your computer. It keeps playing that over and over and over again, and you don't need that negative stuff. Yeah, we all need to be informed of what's happening so that we can take action, so that we can decide how to vote, etc., or move, or whatever. But not every day. Not smacking us every day with the negative, because mostly the news is telling you how awful things are. 2, another way to do search engine optimization with Google. See, y'all learning, so if you have a website, I'm teaching you some search engine optimizations. That'll save you like $3,000. Most people charge you for this. Well, they do it for you. But so in Google, if you blog on your website and you write articles, you put out press releases, there's all kinds of free ways to do press releases. You reply to the comments that people are making on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your website, your blog, if you have a personal blog. You reply to those comments and you comment to others that have a similar blog or similar situation as you on your I could go to like Tony Robbins' Twitter and go, Tony, that is great. Although I'm sure he doesn't always write all his Twitter things, but Tony, that's great. And you retweet that, and that counts for you as well. That's a search engine. There you go. So now you can go and fix your website. In your mind, for your mind, a search engine optimization is to journal. Is when you hear things going on in your head, that self-talk, you talk back. No, I don't want to hear that. No, that's not important. No, that's what Mom told me. She was wrong. Whatever it is that's going on in your self-talk that does not inspire you to your greatness, you can take it as maybe information. You can learn from it, but then you got to tell it to get the hell out of there. And of course, treatment and prayer is a search engine optimization. That thoughts plus feelings. Always want to stress that because we become a very mental, logical, intellect kind of philosophy. It's thoughts plus feelings. What's going on in your heart about whatever it is you've decided you need to have in your life. And third, for Google, you use keywords. That's when they like hashtag things, those become keywords. And you put tags on your sites or your pages or in your social media. When you put those things, there's power to that for those who need to use that and be informed of that. In your mind, what you do for your search engine optimization, your law optimization, is you choose your words wisely. Choose words that promotes feelings and visuals of success, as if. Don't ask for anything. Don't plead for anything from the law. Tell the law what you want. Allow it to come to you and reveal itself to you. Articles. Again, in this thing called Ernest Holmes says, words are molds into which the creative substance of your consciousness flows. Words without meaning, while they may have some effect through constant repetition, cannot have the same effect that words with meaning have, words with feeling. Your words will have meaning in such degree as you actually feel that they are the activity of the Spirit within you, that they're happening now. I don't care what it looks like in front of you. You have to know intellectually and emotionally they are happening now, and the law will come through. I promise you. But you have to take a look at what you're putting into this search engine. Are they buzzwords? Are they old mantras? Or are they of the stuff that you require right now in your life? It's time to find new, meaningful, precious, inspiring, heartfelt, useful words, thoughts, and feelings. The ones that are divinely inspired. And they'll be more and more divinely inspired as you use the conscious use of the law, as you do your spiritual practice, your spiritual mind treatment. Words are a lens to focus one's mind, Ayn Rand said. So on your computer, Google is listening. Google is there waiting for the orders of your search. In your mind, in the universe, the law of cause and effect is always listening, waiting, without judgment, to take your order for your next experience. So if you're online, you can click back and forth to your website, maybe raise it up in Google or some other search engine. But in your mind, in your life, in the most important part of things in your life, in your experiences, click back and forth to the thoughts that serve you, whether you write them, type them, or just think them, or contemplate on them. Translate the ideas and feelings into thoughts and emotions. And tell the universe what you require from it. It's there. It's listening. It wants to do it. And then you'll experience what you desire. Translate what it is you want to reveal into your life, into the thoughts and feelings that it represents. What does it look like? What does it feel like when you are with vibrant health? When you have that perfect, loving, respectful relationship? When you're in that job that uses your greatest talents and you again are respected and remunerated very well? What does it look like and feel like when you're in that place, that perfect place that you've decided you want to be? So let's take a moment and close our eyes, if it's comfortable for you. Let's know together there is one mind, one power in this universe. You can call it whatever you want. God, divine intelligence, the Big Bang, Phil, George, all Oringa. You can call it my illumination, the luminescence of all. And in this moment, I vibrate to that knowing that God is within and that I am an individualization of that power. And as I soak in this illumination, as I drench myself in this power, consciously, intentionally, I know that I go forth in prosperity. Not only prosperity in my pocketbook, but prosperity in my body, in my heart, in my creativity. Prosperity in the thoughts and feelings that I have that propel me and continue each and every one of us into our magnificence. The magnificence that is the birthright of each and every one of us. I take this translation seriously, that my word goes into the law and creates a life that is magnificent and joyful and happy and fun and loving and peaceful and graceful. It is a life of joy. It is a life of divinity right here, right now. So knowing that my word goes directly to the law, I can be grateful, and I am grateful and thankful for that which is going to show up right now from the translation of my word into my experience. This is happening now for each and every one of us. So I release this word, I release this translation, I release the Rosetta Stone of a fabulous life into the universe. A universe that always, always listens, hears, and says yes. As together we say, and so it is. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.